Hello and welcome to this video tutorial on the European Defence Industry Programme, otherwise referred to by its acronym EDIP. My name is Alexandra Marksteiner, and I work for the Directorate General for Defence Industry and Space of the EU Commission, and I will guide you through this presentation. Today, we will be focusing on the eligibility criteria related to the origin of components and the methodology used to assess compliance. Let's dive into it. In order to strengthen EU defence industrial competitiveness and security of supply, the EDIP regulation defines a maximum level of 35% of component costs that can originate outside the Union and Norway in the context of EDIP, or outside the Union and Ukraine in the context of UC. In the case of industrial reinforcement actions and deployment actions other than procurement under the EDPCI umbrella, this threshold applies to the cost of the components of the product, the increase in production capacity of which is supported by union funding. For procurements under common procurement actions, supporting actions, and the EDPCI umbrella, the threshold applies to the estimated costs of the components of the end product that is being procured. Before moving on, let's define some terms that we will see again when I explain the two methods for calculating the cost of components. First off, what is a component? Components are, quote, substances, materials, parts, assemblies, or software that are incorporated into, embedded in, or otherwise required for the operation of the product in question that remain in or are associated with it and contribute to its function or structure, end quote. Please note that raw materials, as defined in the EU Critical Raw Materials Act, are excluded. So, next off, how do we determine the origin of said components? For imported components, the origin is as shown in the customs documents or purchases in line with the relevant customs laws. For components purchased in the EU and associated countries or Ukraine, the origin is defined as the, quote, country where the component underwent its last substantial, economically justified processing or working in an undertaking equipped for that purpose and resulting in the manufacture of a new product or representing an important stage of manufacture, end quote. When calculating the cost of procured components, we are only interested in Tier 1 components. These are components that are procured directly by the supplier of the end product or the product whose production capacity is being increased. Whether or not a component is a Tier 1 component has nothing to do with its value, functionality, or criticality in the resulting defense product. By procurement cost, we mean the cost documented in billing, contracts, or customs documents. Transport costs, duties, and taxes are excluded. For one of the calculation methods, we have to define total manufacturing costs, or TMC, of subsystems that are built in-house. This refers to the cost of Tier 1 procured components that are used in said subsystem, the labor that is directly involved in the production of the subsystem, and manufacturing overheads. The TMC excludes non-manufacturing costs such as general administration, non-capitalized research and development, and sales or marketing expenses. The TMC feeds into the concept of the cost of components of the defense product. This is the sum of the TMC of subsystems built in-house plus the cost of Tier 1 procured components which are directly integrated into the end product or the product whose production capacity is being increased. This integration is considered to be the last stage in the manufacturing process before quality control and packaging. That means that the costs of the final assembly of the defense product are excluded. To be eligible for EDIP funding, applicants have to demonstrate that their cost of components originating outside the Union is equal to or less than 35%. To do this, they can use one of two calculation methods. The first one will be simpler for most applicants, so if that is enough to get you under the threshold, you can leave it at that. Applicants that do not meet the criteria using the first calculation method should proceed to calculate the cost of components originating outside the Union using the second method. The numerator is the same for both methods. For this, applicants have to sum the costs of Tier 1 procured components originating outside the EU and associated countries or Ukraine. It is the denominator that differentiates the two calculation methods. For the first one, the denominator is the cost of all Tier 1 procured components, regardless of their origin. For the second calculation method, the denominator is equivalent to the cost of components of the defense product as defined on the previous slide. Now, I understand this may all sound a little confusing, so let's go through an example. Here we have a visual representation of a bill of materials, which is commonly used in industrial settings to list the parts, components, materials, and assemblies needed to build or manufacture a product. At the top, we have the end product. Below that are the different components and subsystems that are integrated into the end product. C stands for component, whereas S stands for subsystem. Each component and subsystem is marked as being of either EU or non-EU origin. In the case of components, the number in the black circle represents the cost of procurement. For subsystems, the number is the sum of the procurement cost, the manufacturing cost, and the manufacturing overhead for that particular subsystem. Let's go through the first calculation method. To calculate the numerator, we have to sum the costs of all procured components originating outside the Union and associated countries or Ukraine. These components are highlighted in the diagram. The sum of their cost is 92. To calculate the denominator, we will look at all the procured components, regardless of their origin. Subsystems are not counted. In this example, the sum of the cost of all components is 214. Now let's calculate the ratio. Applying the equation on the screen gives us a ratio of 43%. That means that the cost of foreign components makes up 43% of the cost of all components. Since this exceeds the threshold of 35%, the applicant does not meet the eligibility condition as per the first calculation method. In this case, the applicant should proceed with the second method. To calculate the numerator for the second method, you can follow the same steps as with the first method. As I noted before, what differentiates the two calculation methods is the denominator. The second calculation method uses the cost of components of the defense product instead of the cost of all procured components. To calculate the cost of components of the defense product, we have to narrow our focus to level 1 of the bill of materials. We are only interested in the procured components and subsystems that are directly integrated into the end product. To calculate the denominator, we have to sum the cost of procured components at this level and the total manufacturing costs of the subsystems. In this example, this adds up to roughly 275. Keep in mind that the costs of the final assembly of the end product are not included in this calculation. So let's apply the equation. The ratio of the cost of components originating from outside the Union to the cost of components of the defense product is 92 divided by 275. This equals 34%, which is below the threshold of 35%. This means that the applicant fulfills the criterion and is eligible for EDIP funding. Now, a few words on the means of verification, both at the application submission stage and during project implementation. Entities applying for IRA funding under EDIP or UC have to submit a declaration on honor and the procurement strategy document when sending in their proposal. I will talk about the procurement strategy in more detail on the next slide. During the project, beneficiaries have to submit a mandatory deliverable on the implementation of and compliance with the procurement strategy. The Commission may also request supporting evidence to prove the origin of components. Entities applying for CPA or EDPCI funding only have to submit a declaration on honor at the proposal stage. When the project is ongoing, these beneficiaries also have to submit a mandatory deliverable on compliance and verification. They may also be asked to produce supporting evidence demonstrating and verifying compliance. Please note that verification by the Commission does not discharge recipients from the continuous obligation to remain in compliance throughout the duration of the action. There is a possibility of ex post audits. As promised, a few more details about the procurement strategy document. This can be found on the EU Funding and Tenders portal and has to be submitted alongside proposals for EDIP IRA and UC IRA funding. There are 4 sections in the document. The first section calls for an origin of component quantification and cost breakdown. Applicants are asked to provide the cost share of foreign components in different categories, such as structural and mechanical components, power and energy components, instrumentation and monitoring components, safety and protection components, electronics, and communication components. The definition of these categories is left to the applicant and depends on the type of defense product. Again, applicants can use either of the two methods that I presented. No information is required about the identity of suppliers or procurement costs. Aside from providing information at the level of categories of components, it is also essential that applicants complete the eligibility assessment at the level of the entire product, the production capacity of which is being increased. In the second section, applicants are prompted to describe the method and steps that they are taking to establish the origin of components. Examples include the collection and verification of supplier declarations and customs documents, or the inclusion of origin clauses in supplier contracts. In the third section, applicants are asked to provide information on the commercial and contractual arrangements with Tier 1 suppliers of the aforementioned categories of components. Examples include heads of terms, heads of agreements, pre-contractual arrangements, and contracts. Applicants do not have to provide the names of suppliers, volumes of orders, prices, or any commercially sensitive information. In the last section, applicants are prompted to lay out the timeline and main milestones for establishing procedural, commercial, and/or contractual arrangements to confirm compliance. The reason for this document is to provide the Commission with the necessary assurance that applicants will comply with the eligibility criteria throughout the implementation of the action. The procurement strategy will serve as the baseline for monitoring during the implementation phase. So this concludes our presentation for today. For more information, please refer to the call document which can be found on the portal. Thank you for your attention.